Oh, well, we know how to. We can just say Austin. Luke and Hunter this time. Yeah. Just to avoid having to make a boo or really.
Well, I was just gonna do Hunter anyway.
Yeah, but anyway, just it's kind of.
Okay. Well, we're recording, so you guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome to Three Media Junkies, the podcast where we talk about media, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Austin.
I'm Luke.
And I'm Hunter.
And today we are continuing right where we left off with the video game tier list.
Mm-hmm.
How do you guys feel today?
Feeling pretty good.
Pretty good? Okay.
Austin and I are a little bit tired. We just ran a race.
Yeah.
5K, but.
Yes, we're in a cross country team. Yada yada yada. It sucks, but anyway.
Oh, it's fun.
Yeah,
But
it's
parts
fun.
of it.
Yeah. But if we sound a little tired today, it's because it's been a long day.
Yes.
But we'll try to stay as hyper as we can. So I'm gonna do a little getting right down to business. Do a little recap of where we left off.
Good.
Even though I did one at the end of the last episode, but it's okay. I'll just do it again.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Five Nights at Freddy's, the franchise, top of S tier currently. Right below it, Toby Fox and all of his creations, Undertale, Deltarune, and stuff like that. Bending the Ink Machine right below Toby Fox on the and Dark Revival, right below Toby Fox on the S tier. And then that's our S tier for now. And then we have right at the top of A tier is Minecraft. Right below it's Cuphead. Right below Cuphead's Red Dead 2. Right below RDR2 is Elden Ring. Then we have Dark Souls, and then GTA 5, and Black Ops 3 specifically, Zombies. It's a very specific one.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then Rainbow Six Siege at the very bottom of A tier right now. I feel like it's gonna get completely trashed somewhere.
I know.
Yeah.
And Zelda at B tier, that's as a franchise, which is kind of crazy to me. But that was Luke's decision, not mine.
It was a good decision. It was the correct decision for all of us.
And I will say, I thought of a new rule to make the tier list more even. As if the tier that a game is on gets full, it moves down to the next tier.
So Rainbow Six can't get bumped
Rainbow
down.
Six is just gonna get down to B.
So depending on how full the current tier is that we're talking about, the games can get moved down.
So probably say like one row if it reaches all the way to the end.
Yeah. So it will go to the very left of the tier below
obviously.
it. That way it's
It'll go straight to F2.
Yeah, just straight to the very bottom. Okay, let me just do a quick check, make sure we're all good. Yep. We are currently at 3 minutes and 10 seconds.
All right, that's good.
Okay.
I'm ready to be done. You guys ready to leave? Okay.
Yep, okay, we're done.
Yeah.
See ya.
Okay,
Alright.
so I don't think we have a whole lot of small talk today, do we?
Not really. I mean, just kind of did.
Yeah, we already kind of had like a good amount of talking before this.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I would like to get out there is I've been saving a very special game to really dive deep into. I'm not going to rant a whole lot about it, but I'm very passionate about this game. It's one of my favorite games. It might be my second favorite game ever.
After RDR2.
Oh.
Yes, but maybe. I still haven't really decided on that one. And this game is drum roll, but don't actually do it. I'll add it in post. Yeah, pretend to do drum roll.
All right.
And it's Hollow Knight.
I knew it. That's the game that I thought was going to be on there.
Yeah.
Very, obviously, very amazing game. How much experience do you guys have?
I've played it once.
Oh, you
I
have?
don't think I beat it, but
Okay.
it was on my old Switch. I haven't played it since years and years and years. I don't think I was too. I wasn't really too into video games when I played it, so I didn't really respect it for what it was. I was just like, whatever. But it's only $15, and now that I have money, I probably will buy it and play it soon here because you have a lot of passion for it.
Yes. What about you, Hunter?
I don't have much experience with it. I've heard about it. I've heard it's pretty on the difficulty side of the game.
Yeah.
It's not extremely, but I've heard it's pretty.
Yeah, it is. Pretty hard. It's a pretty difficult game, especially towards the end. It's a very boss-heavy game, so it's actually not a whole lot but it's kind of similar to Cuphead in the sense that it's boss after boss after boss, and the biggest part that I'm going to talk about is the DLC, which added just a boss rush mode, basically.
Silk Song, right?
No, Silk Song's like the sequel that's coming out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
See, that's my knowledge.
Yeah, so but I forget what it's called, but before I get to that, the base game absolutely amazing. There's so many like secrets and so much hidden lore, which is just great stuff. I love it. And it's also very hard. And it has a little secret ending, which is just phenomenal, and also probably the hardest boss in the game, and one of the hardest bosses I've ever played in my life.
I really want to get into it. I feel like I would love it if I did.
It's very great. It's, the Dark Souls of Metroidvania, but it's a very different game because it's very retro-ish, and it's also a Metroidvania. It's in that genre, which is just like the...
I love Metroidvania.
Yeah, the hack and slash kind of games. But I just really love it. The theme, it's great. The storytelling's amazing if you really pay attention to that stuff. And now the best part about the game, in my opinion, is the DLCs, because the first DLC, I don't know which order they came out, but the one DLC, I forget what it's called, but it has probably the best boss in video games ever.
Ooh.
The music, phenomenal.
All right,
phenomenal, Luke.
I know.
The video game music, it's great.
Yeah. I love video game music. It's the only thing I listen to.
And honestly, it's not just with that boss. Most of the bosses just have such a catchy score.
I'm sure I'm gonna really get into this game eventually.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be like with Cuphead, I'll play it once and I'll be like, okay, this is the best thing ever now.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's just so good. And this boss specifically is so hard. And the gameplay mechanics with this boss is very tight. You have to, there's no room for mistakes. It's a very punishing boss, and lore-wise, it has a really great backstory, which I haven't played this game in a few years, so I don't want to get into any of the story because I feel like I'm going to forget.
And thank you for keeping it spoiler-free for us.
Yes,
Yeah.
I don't want to
That's
spoil
good.
it for you guys because the story is very good, and it's not like an in-your-face story if you just play it normally.
That's my
like
kind of
most
thing,
people. Yeah, if you just play through it without really paying attention, you won't get a whole lot of the story. But once you start digging stuff up, it gets really interesting. And this boss, I think, oh God, what was his name? His name was Grim something. He was this red and black dude. He looked super cool. He's kind of like a vampire-ish kind of.
I think I've seen this.
Yeah, he's a vampire-ish kind of circus kind of boss, and the music is very replicant of that. And
I'm gonna listen to the soundtrack immediately after this
yeah,
because you're really hyping it up.
Yeah, oh my God, it's so good. I'm actually gonna play his song for you after this because
Really?
it's so good. Yeah,
Please
once
do.
we're done recording. And now that DLC is great and everything. Now let's
Is
get
it
to
paid?
I don't remember if you have to buy the DLCs or not.
Because on Switch I didn't see any DLC. Are there multiple? There are multiple. How many are there?
There's just 2 DLCs.
Okay.
But they're definitely worth it, even if you have to pay. If you did have to pay, clearly I don't remember, so it wasn't that expensive. But the second DLC, which introduces the boss rush mode, which it sounds generic and not that great, but the way that you actually do the boss rush mode is just amazing. They're called pantheons, and basically how these work is you have different tiers of the boss rush mode, and basically as you go up and up, it gets harder and harder because there's certain amount of abilities that you have, and then there's restrictions as well, which are called they have a special name in the game, but they're restrictions. And the final tier, all the restrictions are on. You don't have any abilities, I don't believe. So you're just base game. And not only that, but the last tier, you have to fight every single boss in the entire game back to back without dying once. And not only that, but at the end of the tier, there's a secret special boss which is the end game boss from the base game,
Uh-huh.
but far much more evolved and so much harder. And that's genuine. I know I've said this like 3 times, but that's genuinely probably the hardest boss I've ever played. And the reason I'm so passionate about this game, if there was a single game that I could brag about like playing and beating all the way through, it would be this game, because I'm pretty sure on Steam it was like a 2% amount of people that play the game that have beat the final Pantheon, and I beat the Pantheon.
Nice.
And I am so proud of that fact.
nice.
I feel like you're really selling this game.
It's so good.
I'm about to go buy this game.
I cannot.
Yeah.
You should play it as soon as you can.
I'm about to play it.
I'm going to. This might end up being a transition into another game. I mean, obviously we'll rank this one.
Yeah.
But that Pantheon thing you're describing is 100% based off of what Kirby. Every single game has one.
Okay.
Yes, and they all do the thing where if you do the highest difficulty, you fight an evolved version of the final boss.
Okay.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's so cool, and it all has even like the Pantheons are connected to the story. I can't exactly remember how, but I know it's just like when I learned about it, I was like,
I can't.
I genuinely need to go back and replay this game, because
we should do a thing together.
yes, I've been meaning to.
If you want to.
I've been meaning to go back and play this game, and it does have a bit of a slow start, like because it's a game where there's a lot of exploring, and you can get lost very easily because there's like maps that you have to buy from this map person, who you can find throughout the world. There's just this would be like a 5-hour episode if I really talked about everything.
Yeah.
But
I was just thinking about that.
yeah, it's so great. But obviously, majority opinion. I believe it belongs in S tier. But if you guys have a different opinion, then we can put it wherever you.
You've really sold this for me. Like, I had barely any experience, but I'm. That sounds amazing. I'm fine with S tier if you want to take the lead on it. I may not really care where you put it, but that's. Okay. I'm about to go home and play this game now.
What about you, Hunter?
From what I've heard from you, it sounds really good. I like the art style of the game too. The game.
That's something I didn't even bring up. The art style is
the art
so
style
unique.
looks so sick. I've been wanting to play it honestly for a while, but I've just never really gotten into it because obviously if there's other games that I've been playing and I was like
right.
I want to play the game. It looks really fun. The art style looks really good. I think S tier is good.
Okay, and I will mention the sequel, which is in I'm going to use a light word here, production hell as they call it, where it's been in development for probably close to like 5 years now, and it was even on Steam at one point with a release date. And then it just got taken off Steam. I don't know, genuinely. It's called Silksong. I don't know if it's ever going to come out.
I've heard about this. Every direct I've watched recently have all said, the chat is like, Silksong.
I know,
I was like, what is that? And, right, I'm about to board the hype train with you.
Yeah, I really want Silksong to come out, especially because you play as one of the bosses in Hollow Knight.
Ooh.
But she's not only a boss, you fight her a few times, but she's actually like one of the main characters and has huge like lore like connections. So I just really like that aspect that you play as a boss.
All right, I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm worried about rambling here.
So bringing it all in, we said Hollow Knight on S tier. Where should we put it on S tier?
Well, again, my experience is so light that I probably would have to say bottom.
Yeah, that's fine with me. Just because I don't have a whole lot of experience with Bendy, so I don't want to step on Bendy's toes.
I guess you're nicer than we are.
Yeah, so. Alright, moving on to the next game. Is there anything in particular you guys want to do next?
I guess he already talked about
I did talk a little bit about Kirby.
Okay, so
this is my favorite game series of all time. Like favorite game is Breath of the Wild, of course, but like series wise, like a franchise, I love Kirby games. And the reason I love Kirby games is because the gameplay is always like fresh and it's pretty samey, but in the sense of like you always know what to expect. So it's never gonna do anything that's like whoa. It's never. I don't think it's ever had a bad game. It's never done anything controversial or made people like turn off from it because it's so like. And my favorite aspect of Kirby is not only like the the fun gameplay and but the lore and the story, which I always talk about because I love the lore specifically for Kirby because it's so opposite of what you'd expect from looking at it and being like, oh, he's just cute little pink puffball that hops around. It's but also everyone in the whole planet Earth is dead. People keep sacrificing themselves to ancient gods, and Kirby himself is the reincarnated form of an elder god. So it's a really, really fun thing to follow, and each new game just adds the next parts of the timeline. It never skips around or anything. It's just here's the next thing, and it's so fun to follow and get to keep up with the Kirby lore. But that part of it, the gameplay, the boss fights are they set the precedent for me for how 2D side scroller boss fights should be. Maybe Cuphead. Yeah. But Kirby bosses are legendary, especially the finales. Everyone always compares Kirby finales to other games because at the end it'll be okay, you fought this guy who you knew was going to be the bad guy. Then he has another form. Then he summons this other thing. Then you have to go inside of it, and it's it just keeps going and going and going.
Right.
Which is it's awesome. It's really cinematic and cool.
One thing is I will say is you have definitely made me more interested in the Kirby games recently because you've been showing me a lot of stuff about it on the bus ride to the meet today. You showed me what was his name? Marks. Yeah, you showed me his little boss and all of his moves, and you told me about the backstory of the main villain in one of the games.
Max Prophet Hallman.
Yeah, the one that was trying to save his daughter. I think it was
a
very interesting story.
Yeah.
About a cute little pink ball that absorbs everything around it.
Yeah, that's another thing about the gameplay of Kirby is that it's so replayable because the main thing is you eat an enemy and you get its ability. Mm-hmm. But there's hundreds. Throughout the whole series, there's so many that and they all have their own, basically more complicated than Smash Bros. Some of them are movesets that have so many crazy moves that you can do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's just a really, really clever mechanic for a game.
Yeah. Right.
So I would say S tier. I'm fine with A tier because I know Hunter hasn't had much experience with it. Austin, obviously. Mm-hmm. I'm fine with high A tier, but it's my favorite franchise. I don't think I like it more than Deltarune, but that's single game rather than a franchise.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, my experience with the game is the one games that I've played were that one game where you have to fight the bosses. It's you have different roles. The I don't know, hero something. I can't remember.
Super Kirby Clash.
Yeah,
that one's free.
I played that one a bit. I've also played the demo for the Robo one when it came out.
Robo on 3DS.
Yeah, when it was on when the demo came out for 3DS. Then I also played one of the older ones, and also the Forgotten.
Yeah, you own Forgotten Land, right?
Yeah, Forgotten Land.
You haven't finished
I haven't played much of it.
That one has a really good.
But my experience with the game is it's a good game. Not as much as as Luke is, because oh my gosh, I hear so much about this game. Almost as much as I hear Gaster. Gosh,
oh god,
I hear Gaster's name almost every single day I talk to this game.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think high A tier, maybe S.
Mm-hmm.
Will be my.
All right. I'm fine with that. I don't have a whole lot of experience with Kirby in general. Just I've played bits and pieces of the games. I never disliked them. I always found them pretty fun. I was just a kid and I never really got too into the games. Yeah. So
they're definitely a lot more mellow.
Yeah. So I'm fine with you said high A tier. Mm-hmm. Where on the A tier do we have? As a reminder, there's Minecraft, Cuphead, Red Dead 2, Elden Ring, Dark Souls, GTA 5.
I'd put it probably above Minecraft, honestly.
That's where I would put it. Yeah.
Okay, so at the very top of A tier.
Yeah.
Then? Okay. So Kirby going at the very top.
I remember putting Minecraft above Cuphead, but that's okay.
Yeah. It's fine.
Whatever.
All right, and moving on. Let's see. What should we do next?
Out of the way.
Mario Kart.
So Mario
mood change here.
Yeah. So obviously we're getting all the Nintendo stuff out of the way here.
Yeah, we did Zelda at the end of last
year. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So this is on the list as the franchise, but the game we're gonna talk about the franchise obviously, but the game I have the most experience with and that made me put this on the list is Mario Kart 7 for the 3DS.
Yeah.
Because I played that game every single day for since I was 10 and I got my first 3DS for years.
Mm-hmm.
And me and my cousin, we were always playing that game, and I've never experienced more rage than playing this game.
Really?
I used to get so mad at this game. I'm sorry to my 3DS, which got so many beatings
Wow.
because of this game. But it was genuinely just such an impactful game. I don't know why. I just always found I just couldn't help but play this game all the time, and it's genuinely Mario Kart 7 specifically is probably my favorite Nintendo game ever made.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a hot take, I guess, but that's honestly the most experience I have with the Mario Kart franchise, other than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for the Switch, which I also played. I liked it, but it never lived up to Mario Kart 7 for me.
Yeah.
I just never got too invested in Mario Kart 8.
I never had a 3DS, so I never got to play 7.
Okay.
You missed out on a gold.
I missed out on a lot. I missed out on Planet Robobot and a lot of other really good games.
Yeah,
All the Mario and Luigi games. Oh,
the 3DS was just such a...
it's
Yeah, you
an
missed
amazing-
out.
I know,
on a
I know.
huge thing.
Yeah, so Mario Kart, I have a lot of nostalgia. When I was little, like when I had my Wii when I was like 5 up until I think 10. We had a Wii, played Mario Kart, the Wii on the Mario Kart, which is a very popular and like famous, almost a meme at this point, is Mario Kart Wii. Everyone loves that game.
Yeah.
It has like the best course selection, best character selection and everything. And more recently, of course, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for my Switch, which we got when the Switch released. And it's consistently fun. There are some times when it'll get a little bit kind of draggy because it's like, I get it.
Yeah.
But I'll always have a good time playing it. It doesn't matter who I'm playing it with. I'll always have fun playing it.
Yeah.
And it's also it appeals to such a broad, like, people who don't even know Nintendo know Mario Kart. Like, I've played people who know I've ever played a Mario game. I've played Mario Kart. You know what I mean?
Right.
What I really like is, I don't want to get too into this because it's a very dense topic, but the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe had 48 courses, and then the end of 2021 they were like, okay, we're going to do this booster course where 3 times every year we're going to release 8 new courses for each thing, and so that doubled it from 48 to it's going to have 92 courses by the end of, which is mind-blowing.
Jeez.
And then even like they got to the 4th wave, they were like, okay, we're also going to add new characters, and they started adding in new characters from all the games, and that was really exciting. So they really know how to listen to their fans when it comes to Mario Kart, I think.
Yeah, well, to an extent, I will agree with you. But when it comes to listening to their fans, especially with characters, Mario Kart 8 especially, and this is honestly why I think not many people really talk about the game too much, and it hasn't gained as much traction as it should, is because there's just some dumb characters in the game. It's like they could put really cool characters. They could do so much with it, add so many unique Mario characters, and then there will be a whole row of characters of baby versions of characters. And it's like, and then there will be like Peach in a cat suit, and then there will be like, there's a Rose or whatever, Rose Gold Peach in cat suit, or you can play as Rose Gold Peach, and it's like, it's so dumb. It's just like
I like to think that when they were like, because they didn't add like Diddy Kong or Funky Kong, which are like super iconic characters like initially. And I think when they made the booster course, they were like, oh, we gotta fix this.
Yeah,
we gotta put them in the
recently.
game.
That wasn't like in the what's it called, the direct recently?
Yeah.
Was it the Diddy Kong and Donkey Kong?
That was this Thursday, by the way. Like I'm kind of hot off a direct, which was really exciting.
And Bone Bowser.
I mean,
Bowser. Dry Bowser?
Dry Bowser, right.
Like Bone Bowser.
He's made of bones.
I mean, he's cool, but it's just like there's just so many characters that like don't need to be in the game, and then you could replace them with much more interesting, better characters.
Just give us Goomba, come on.
Yeah,
Goomba,
exactly. Or like, like a tower of Goombas,
Oh, yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think that's pretty much all I have to say about the game.
I'd say probably middle A tier. Like,
Okay.
It's consistent. It's fun to talk about. I feel like 'cause
Yeah.
it's very like
Yeah.
I don't know, it just has a lot.
It's kind of a party game as well to
Yeah.
play. I've played it a lot in class because last day of school last year.
I hated
this-
doing that because I would get so competitive.
Oh yeah,
competitive.
you don't want to play this game with me.
Yeah.
I get so competitive with this game. It's crazy.
I remember. I'm going to go on a side tangent, but there's one kid who was really cocky. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm so good at Mario Kart,"
Uh-huh.
and I was like, "I'm not gonna play." And he was like playing, beating everybody. I was like, "I don't want to play. I don't want to embarrass myself if I lose." It's like, "All right, I'll play one round," and I just beat him like 50 times, and he was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
good.
I'm
That's
very.
always like-
This is another game I'm very passionate about. So, I do get very competitive when I play it.
Yes.
But it's definitely not as impactful as some of the other games are on this list.
Sure,
So, middle A tier would put it right
Yeah.
below Red Dead 2 and above Elden Ring.
"Okay, sure, yeah."
Okay, those are two very different games.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's kind of a funny thing.
Yes, yeah,
What's
but
better, Elden Ring or Mario Kart?
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
One's a racing game with a whole bunch of things, and one's a game where you beat all a bunch of bosses in one raid.
Yeah,
Well, actually, they do have something very in common: raging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how many people really rage at Mario Kart.
I would
I-
not put a number.
I mean, you
on
two
that.
Yeah.
are definitely repeat offenders
Yes.
of raging many times.
I honestly don't let myself play Mario Kart anymore. Which,
Yeah.
Good on ya.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hunter doesn't let himself play Mario Party anymore. Or
you
I don't let Hunter play Mario Party anymore.
We don't talk about that anymore.
We'll share the whole story. We'll share sometime.
I love Mario Party. It's
I do too.
If we all had Mario
That's
Kart,
better
I'd
than Mario
actually-
Kart, I'd say.
Really?
I've played that more
Yeah.
than
I
Mario
haven't
Kart.
had a whole ton of.
The Mario Party 2
Yeah.
on the N64 is amazing.
Yes. If we all had Mario Party, I would play it. I don't really care if it's not mad or anything like that. I will play it. No matter
Yeah. Okay.
what. Stop talking about it.
All right. Yeah.
All right. So Mario Kart, middle A tier. Our A tier is getting pretty full. Eventually,
Yeah, I know.
Rainbow Six Siege is going to be
Yeah.
down to B.
Rainbow Six Siege is gonna.
Just move it down there at this point.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
no point.
We'll get there.
We know
we'll
it's
get
coming.
there. So moving on from that,
Next game.
yes, I'm trying. Let's get.
What was that? Next game.
Yes. Let's get. We still have a couple, or really just one cartoonish game, but I'm not gonna talk about it because I don't want to have an overloaded amount of story games on
Yeah.
here. So, Luke's trying. To
Oh, I
figure-
remember now. Okay.
Okay.
I can't remember. Yeah.
I'm going to do probably the one that none of you have any experience with, the Last of Us Part
Oh.
1 remake.
Yeah. Not really. I mean.
This is the remake specifically because I think the remake is far better just because it is a story-driven game, obviously,
Mhm.
and the graphics are so good at conveying emotion in the remake, much more than the remastered or the original version. So clearly, you guys don't know a whole lot about it. Do you?
I know it had a
Yeah.
TV show.
I know.
It did, which was also very good. I'm
It's cool.
very proud of it because video game adaptation shows / movies are never really that good.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy. I just watched a video recently. You guys probably forgot about this movie, but the Uncharted movie that came out.
Oh, yeah.
No, never forget.
Yeah, it was so funny because I don't know if you know this, but Uncharted, Last of Us, made by the same company.
Oh, I know.
Naughty Dog.
Also made Crash Bandicoot.
Yes, I can't believe I didn't put that on this list. I love Crash
Yeah.
Bandicoot.
Really?
But anyway, it's
Wow.
such a childhood game. I love it so much.
Oh, we can talk about that.
Yeah, but it was funny. The video explained how, on one end, you have one of Naughty Dog's biggest franchises, if not their biggest, Uncharted, horrible movie, and then you have The Last of Us, their second biggest franchise probably, with an amazing adaptation. So it's like it's crazy how different they are.
I think timing a little bit too. Like as it got more modernized, like the
Yeah.
show could do more.
And the show changed a lot about like its source material,
Mhm.
but not too much to where it felt like it wasn't the same thing anymore.
If people still like it, that's when you know it's
Yeah.
well executed.
And the cast was great. Everything about it was just really good. But not talking about the show. Excuse me, Hunter. Quit tapping your fingers on the table, Hunter.
Making noise on purpose. Huh?
Yeah. But The Last of Us Part 1, great story. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about it because
We've already rambled.
that's pretty much all I have to say about it is The story's amazing. Gameplay's amazing. Really great story game. If I was ranking story games, it would probably be second or third on my list, right below Red Dead 2, just because the story is just so phenomenal. But what are you pointing at?
Never mind, it's coming now.
Okay, all right. Well,
Right below Red Dead 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll put it below Red Dead 2.
No, you say it's called Part 1.
Oh, yeah.
What is Part 2? What's the story there?
So
She got older.
The Last of Us Part 2, I don't even want to talk about it,
Is
but
it
I
like
will.
an actual? Is it out? Because I didn't know.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
out. It actually came out before the Part 1 remake came out, and then they
Yeah.
made the Part 1 remake after, but it doesn't matter. Part 2...
Still talk about it.
The Last of Us Part 2 is very divided with its fan base. There's plenty of people that really love the game, and, great game, and then there's a bunch of people, myself included, that are just like, what did they do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's because of the story. The gameplay, phenomenal. It elevates on everything that the first game did and just goes so much more beyond that. The gameplay, they did everything right.
Mm-hmm.
And then the story is just absolutely horrible. There's some good beats that they got right, but then it just kind of nosedives. And it's just like... I'm not going to spoil or anything, just in case you guys end up ever playing the game in the future. But the story is just not good. The pacing is horrible, and just pretty much everything about the story, I do not like.
Well,
So
there we go.
it's a very big, drastic change from the first game, which has an amazing, just deep story, and it's just, it's so good. So are we fine with putting that right below Red Dead?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, I'll put that right
Here's
there.
my next question. Part 3.
No, there's no Part 3.
There is it's been kind of confirmed that they are working on a third one.
Is this one of the games where it's gonna just keep going? There's no end in
I really
sight.
hope it doesn't exist.
I think they said that the third one is like the final one, but
Okay.
I also am not 100% sure that it's actually even confirmed yet. But
I like the idea of them being like, "Oh, we screwed up Red Dead 2. Just remake the first one."
Yeah.
everyone likes that game.
yeah.
I think- Going to the next game because it's another zombie game.
Okay, go ahead. I don't know what you're talking about.
So, just like the sun's gonna explode one day, the light's gonna die. Just like the game, Dying Light.
Oh, that was just a perfect transition. Okay.
I was thinking of a different zombie game, but that's okay.
Yeah. So Dying Light, I have a lot of experience with this game. I love this game. You go first,
Ooh.
though.
Hunter likes it.
One of my favorite games. The second one, no.
Yeah, I agree.
No.
I agree with you. It's literally the same thing as Last of Us.
Yeah.
Except
second
the
game-
gameplay isn't up to par with the first game. either.
This
The
video
new
is
character Ryan, or Aiden, sorry, I don't know why I said Ryan. I don't know where I got Ryan from at all. Aiden, the new character Aiden, I just don't like him at all.
Yeah.
I've tried playing Dying Light 2. I played like maybe an hour, maybe of the game, and I just can't play any more of it because it's just so.
Oh, you never beat it?
No, I haven't played anything of Dying Light 2. All I know is it's just really bad. Anyways, Dying Light 1, one of my favorite games to exist. It was like kind of like the reason why one of my favorite reasons why I wanted to play it was watching Jacksepticeye play it, because like I remember seeing him, I'm like, I really want to play this game because like it looks so fun, it looks so good. And just like everything about it, like the story. One of my only story games I'll actually ever play is Dying Light because it's just so good. I beat it like maybe 5 times now. Even though I could probably beat it like so many more times, but like it just, I have other stuff I'm doing. But it's one of my favorite games that I think I've played. But yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
I will say, so just to actually explain what this game is.
Yeah, because I'm completely lost right now.
Yeah, so you're with the audience here.
Yeah.
Parkour zombie game, basically.
Parkour zombie.
So it's like the gameplay mechanics is you're climbing a lot, you're running, you're jumping, you're like.
So it has a lot of what are they, like scripted like scares and stuff like that?
Not really. It doesn't have like set pieces like an Uncharted
okay.
game would. It's just very action based. The city you're in, is just built so you're able to do a lot of parkour, basically.
Oh.
So the environment.
Very clever.
Yeah. What?
With the jump scares, scripted jump scares, there's like a couple that exist.
Yeah.
Okay,
There's
yeah.
one
Almost any
towards
good
the
horror game.
beginning where if you
Well, don't spoil the jump scares.
Yeah.
Then it won't be jump scares.
well, I don't know.
Okay, so
If they
you can
haven't
do
played
one.
the game's been out for years. Man.
Okay, sure,
Yeah.
sure,
If they haven't if they haven't played the game or watched anything about it, that's their fault now.
Yeah.
Kind
Cover
of like
your
FNAF
ears.
or something like that. Like if they haven't watched anything about it and like you tell them about a jump scare, it's like that's your fault.
Don't
Fine.
listen to this podcast if you know nothing about FNAF because we're gonna be spoiling every single thing about it.
Yes.
But with the jump scares, there's like I remember 3 of them. There's one, the beginning of the game, where you kind of go to this like thing after all the power goes out, and you have to open up this thing, and the garage kind of lifts up, and there's this huge zombie that comes out with like a sledgehammer type of thing, just comes out, not really like a jump scare. And then the second one is you go get a there's 4 actually. I remember there's the second one that I remember is the volatile, which is the night creature things that are terrifying as all heck.
Yeah.
Night demons, basically what I should call them.
Yeah, basically, if you're out past dark, just run.
Is there
Just
a day-night
run.
Unless you're
mechanic?
really,
Well,
unless like you're really good.
Yeah, that's like a big mechanic.
Oh,
of
dying
the game.
light.
Yeah, so it's like you don't want to be out at nighttime because the volatiles come out at nighttime, and those they're basically, don't fight them, just run for your life.
I love enemies
just,
like that.
Just run and scream and just flail your arms.
You said
just,
Jack played this? I might look into that.
Well, so they're not. It's not really. I mean, I shouldn't really call them jump scares because they're not really jump scares. They're just introducing the enemies.
Yeah.
The volatile, you go to a care package and Jane's like, "Hey, no, don't go out at night because the bad people, volatiles, are out there." And you're like, "No, I think I can do this." You get the care package, and you see them, and you're like, you look through the thing, and just right in front of your face, out of nowhere, it appears, and then you have to run back to the safe house and stuff like that. All safe houses are closed except for the one you have to be at, which I really hate.
Yes.
And then the next one that I remember is you have to go do this one thing for this really bad guy. His name is, I can't remember his name now. Rise.
Rise, yeah.
Yeah, he's this really big bad guy that does like.
He's the
really
main
bad
villain,
things.
basically.
Main villain. And I love the endings of the game so much.
Yeah, I will say, in my opinion, Dying Light, both games really, but since we're talking about Dying Light 1 specifically, its biggest weakness for me is its story. I don't think it's as in-depth as it could be, but it's also something I'm okay with. There's very little games where it's like, I don't care that the story isn't good. Usually if a game doesn't have a good story, I'm not as invested.
Sure.
But Dying Light is a game where it's not that the story doesn't matter, it's that just everything else about the game is literally just so good that it's like, I just can't bring it in myself.
I know what you mean,
Yeah, so it's like, the story isn't like, and the characters, like, that's one problem I did have with the game is a lot of the characters are kind of forgettable.
Yeah.
And a lot of them show up in Dying Light 2, and I'm like, who are you again?
Spike.
And it's
Spike
like,
shows up
Spike, he's probably the most memorable character other than the person you play as.
Yeah.
The ending is very good, I think, with Rice on top of the building. It was great. But great game, great mechanics, very horrifying. That's the one thing I hate.
Scary.
That's the one thing I hate about Dying Light 2 is Dying Light 1, it's like, don't be out past dark, or it's not going to be fun. Dying Light 2, nighttime is not intimidating at all. They completely changed the mechanics, where it's like these creatures that, like, if they see you, they'll scream and, like, wake up the other zombies, which sounds scary,
like
but
the
it's
warden almost.
Yeah, but it's not scary because they tried to elevate so much on the parkour mechanics to where you can basically fly in the game.
Great.
Yeah, so it's like, it's just, and the story was even just a step lower than what the first game was, and it wasn't like a very hard thing to beat, you know? It was like, So, but
I just looked up what a volatile looks like,
Oh,
and the
yeah.
first thing I was hit with was safe search is off. Great, I don't know why that's off, but I turned it on. These kind of look like the things from Stranger Things that pop out of the wall.
Yeah.
Demogorgon?
Trust me, there's so much scarier in the game when you hear them chasing you from
I'm
behind
sure,
and you're
I'm
trying to
sure,
get to
I'm
like a
sure.
safe house
Yes.
and it's dark and getting darker and it's just like and they're
I like that. I'm
in-
getting chills thinking about that.
and they're extremely fast and
They're
agile
awesome.
too. So it's like that's where the main parkour comes in. Is trying to escape those
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
I keep thinking
Um,
about the warning when you're saying this from Minecraft. I feel like that might have been
Oh.
inspiration.
Oh yeah.
An
Kind
unkillable
of,
enemy that's
yeah.
like so like sound
Yeah,
based.
it is in the way where like you just don't fight it. You just want to get out of there.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Um,
was trying to think of the word.
um,
Okay, so what are we putting Dying Light?
I would
I
say
don't really have to say on this, but I like what you guys have to say.
Yeah.
I like S tier or high A tier.
High A tier. I would say I want to put it above Last of Us because it's another zombie game, obviously, but I think it is the better zombie
You think
game.
Much
Dying Light,
better.
at least
Yes.
one, is better than
Yes.
Last of Us 1?
Yes, I do believe so, which is interesting because I'm a very story-driven game type of person, and Dying Light has a far like lesser story than Last of Us, but I still think it's a better, more enjoyable game.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think it goes to a bigger audience than Last of Us does. So I think right above Last of Us, if that's okay with.
Yeah, that.
Okay.
I don't know about Hunter, but
Is that
yeah.
fine with you, Hunter?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, right below Red Dead and right above
Last of Us.
Last of Us. All these games are knocking on Red Dead's door right now. And Rainbow's down to B2.
Let's go.
There we go.
Sorry, Rainbow.
Sorry, little guy.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yes. So we're done with Dying Light.
Yeah.
And moving on to another horror game, The Forest. Horror survival game.
Yeah, it's yes.
I'm not the biggest fan of survival games. I never beat them for some reason.
Yeah.
I never beat them, and this is one of them. I've gotten I don't know what you'd say far was, but I built a pretty big base, and I had quite a bit of run-ins with some of the locals.
Yes. They're
um,
crazy.
Yeah, and
Oh, you can keep going. I have something to say about this.
it's fine. You can. I'm done.
My main experience with The Forest, I've never played it, but I've watched Mark, Bob, and Wade play it probably.
Yeah.
I think 3 times. I've watched the whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
and it's similar to Raft. I feel
It
like,
is.
Oh yes, definitely.
which I think Raft is a bit more creative than The Forest, but I think that The Forest was a bit more like the ending was really like a lot more poignant, and it was cool. And it was really fun to just see all of the mechanics come together in the end.
So you
and
never saw the ending.
I know you haven't.
Yeah.
There's a boss fight
Really.
against a really creepy like
Oh,
demon
yeah.
girl who has a spider.
I remember my first time running into one of those
Mutants?
spider things.
Oh yeah,
Oh my
everybody
gosh.
does.
And from a viewer standpoint, it's like, oh, just another giant spider. It's not an actual spider. It's like limbs. Like it's,
yeah.
It's grotesque.
It's so weird looking.
Now there is a sequel to this game that I haven't really dug into.
Sons of the Forest.
I heard
Yeah.
it was not.
Well, Hunter has probably something to say about the forest because I
Not
think he
good.
likes it.
Yeah.
Right?
I've heard it's so good.
I heard
The
it.
Forest?
I heard it just lacks content.
Yeah, I haven't played it yet, but I really want to. Sons of the Forest. I really want to play
Consequences
Sons of
feel
the
much
Forest.
higher.
Exactly.
It draws you in. It actually
Yeah.
has something that's like, ooh, I want to find out what's happening to this.
Yeah.
To me, like you know.
And I still don't know, so I'm still very intrigued by the story. But
I mean, it's alright if you don't see the ending, but you should at least see like the boss fight. It's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
yeah. So
I'd say A tier. I hesitate to put it above Minecraft because Minecraft has a lot of. I keep questioning Minecraft's placement. I don't remember putting
Yeah.
it.
and you do have to realize if we put it above Minecraft, you're also putting it above Cuphead.
I know. Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking. Like that doesn't make. I don't remember
think we
doing
should
that.
Move
Yeah.
some stuff though.
You said what?
I think we should move some stuff.
Really? No, I feel like we probably had a reason. I just can't remember.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's and you did put Kirby above Cuphead as well.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that is.
You do agree
I
with
agree
that?
with that.
Okay.
I say that the forest. Like I can't decide because I don't know much about RDR, so it's probably around there somewhere for me.
I would say okay. If we're grouping it with the zombie games, which are grouped
yeah.
up, other than Black Ops 3, that's kind of low.
Yeah.
The Forest compared to The Last of Us and Dying Light. What do you think about that?
I don't know. I haven't seen either of them.
That's true.
I think.
I think Dying Light is better than The Forest.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, it's not really a zombie game, but
It's not even.
no, they're not zombies or anything.
They're
but
cannibals.
yeah,
Mhm.
but
Or mutants.
but survival type game. I think Dying Light's a tad better.
Yeah.
In between the
Yeah,
zombie games.
yeah.
right?
I think it goes above Last of Us Part 1 and
Mhm.
below Dying Light.
Okay.
Definitely.
Just because it's also interesting because Dying Light, not that great of a story. Last of Us, amazing story, and then The Force is kind of a mixture.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
I think it makes a lot of sense for it to go sandwiched
Yeah,
in
yeah.
between there.
Yeah.
So
All right.
mid A tier for The Forest, and Black Ops 3 Zombies just got kicked to B tier, above Rainbow Six Siege.
Visiting its good buddy Rainbow Six.
Yes.
All right. What's next?
What's next is one that I think we can get out of the way very quickly
Yeah.
because I'm probably the only person that's played this game. This is a story
Oh yeah.
driven as it gets. Detroit Become Human.
Yeah.
You think as it gets?
Yeah, as story driven. This is the biggest like story game that I think I've ever played that focuses like solely on story. Many people call it a walking simulator in a sense.
Oh, okay.
Because there's not a whole. There is gameplay to an extent, but it's really like a movie game.
Sure. Like Animal Soccer World.
Kinda, yes. I mean, so just to break it down real quick summarize the concept of the story. It's set in Detroit, obviously, but in the far future.
Of course, Detroit.
Yes, of course, it's set in Detroit. But in the very far future, where there's these, they're called androids in the game, aren't they?
I think so.
Yeah. There's these androids, robots, whatever you want to call them, that look just like people.
Yes.
Talk just like people, and basically the game is about them realizing Detroit Become Human, them realizing that they're meant for more than just to serve humans.
Oh, very interesting.
And this whole story follows 3 different antagonists, and their stories eventually like get entwined towards the end, and it's all climactic. And the story, it's also one of those games where your choices extremely matter. Like,
Oh, really?
Like everything you do has consequences. You can get
Are there like many endings?
there's so many endings,
Okay.
and it's also a game where it follows 3 different characters. You can get those characters killed,
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
yeah.
and they're just dead permanently.
Very cool. Very cool.
So it's like
Wow.
a very tense game,
Yeah.
very deep story, not just like in itself, but as like a message to society,
Yes.
kind of
Yes.
about
Yeah.
because it's kind of like symbolic of slavery in a sense, because these robots,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
these robots are enslaved to do pretty much
Humans
everything
being-
their creators, us humans.
That's a good concept for a
Yeah.
game. I
It's
like
like
that.
there's- It's like that. There's a lot of choices that you can make where you're just like, I just ruined everybody's life in this
Wow.
game, and it's just like, it's very heavy.
Very cool.
Very
Alright.
heavy game, very emotional game.
Yeah.
And I really like, my favorite character is Connor. He's so amazing, and not just his character, but his actor is like best friends with Jacksepticeye.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
And
that's
they've made videos together, and he's actually a streamer in real life as well.
What's
So
his name?
I forget. I
Yeah,
actually
he's
forget.
good.
Yeah, I think it's like Jason something maybe.
Oh, wow.
Jason Momoa.
Yeah, Jason. He totally looks like Jason Momoa.
Totally.
Alright, so where do you think it goes on the list?
Compared to most of these other games where it's gameplay driven, I actually think it goes in B tier because
Really?
it's a very amazing experience. But if you're a person like most people are that aren't too involved in games and you want to have fun,
Mm-hmm.
I would say there is fun
It's
to
not
be
very-
had. There is fun to be had, but it's a
Yeah.
very tense, emotional story game. I wouldn't play it if you're having a bad day because it's probably
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
make it worse.
Or
Or
me-
better if you make the right choices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, it'd be like I get to see this really cool story unfold.
Yeah, it's-
for better or for worse.
It's very good, and all the different endings. I forget how many there are, but there are so many endings. But I think it goes. I'm fine with putting it above Zelda, but below Rainbow Six Siege.
Okay.
Because it's not for everybody, but it's a very great story game.
Yes.
Like people say, walking simulator, and that term kind of turns a lot of people off to the game because you don't just want to walk around all the time when you're playing video games.
Yeah,
you want to do stuff, but
Pokemon Go.
yeah.
40 endings.
There's 40 endings.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought there was a lot more than that actually, but
that's quite a bit.
that's a lot of endings. Yeah.
Well, approximately 40 endings.
Yeah, so you can get a really good ending. Jacksepticeye's playthrough is very good. That's how I got introduced to the game, and then I played it myself.
Oh, nice.
I couldn't get as good of an ending as he got. He got a perfect ending.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he made really good choices. I actually ended up getting Connor killed in my playthrough.
Nice.
I think
So
that
I was-
reflects who you are as a person. Is
That's-
whenever
yeah.
you play games like that. I think that's
Very,
why.
Because there's a lot of like timed events too, where you have to like think quick on your
Quick
feet.
times events. Yeah.
And it's like, can you do this?
Yeah.
Let's do Plants vs Zombies.
Yeah, I kind of was like, let's talk about another zombie game, and I was like, Plants vs. Zombies.
that's like the other zombie games.
Yeah,
right?
that's great.
Yeah.
So much like the zombie game.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know about you, Austin. Have you ever like?
I've played a lot of
He's
Plants vs
dabbled a
Zombies.
little bit in it.
Yeah, Hunter. This is kind of where Hunter and our friendship began to blossom a
Yeah.
lot.
Mm-hmm.
We ran to Remarkable Diner one day in cross country, and I was into the game. I can't remember, I was just like, oh, I played this game on my DS, or I used to, and then I was like, I want to play this game again, so I got it on my phone. And little did I know that I would end up going down this deep hole of that game and like sucking up my life. And
Yes.
I beat the entire game. I got every single achievement possible, and I got I think 35 flags on Survival Endless.
Jeez.
So basically, to summarize, it's a very cartoonish zombie game, especially compared to the other
Oh
ones
yeah, I
on the
just
series.
realized that. I just rambled and didn't say anything
No,
about the game.
it's fine. So strategy-based game. You play
Tower defense.
Yes, tower defense. You want the plants to survive. The zombies are coming to attack you.
It's pretty well known.
Yeah,
I think I was kind of
Yeah.
assuming that when I was like, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's very silly and
Yeah, it's a very good game.
that was really loud.
That was my bad. I'm
It's
sorry.
gonna sound like a dying
You're a
bird.
horrible person. I mean, you just making so much noise over there.
My bad.
And you talk so quietly.
Yeah. I think it's this is as the franchise as well, correct? So
Yeah.
No,
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 just
the
as one
franchise
game.
is the
if
first
we
one?
rank this franchise, I have a lot more to say. But I
Okay.
think the first.
Yeah,
let's just
go
do
with the
first game.
one. Yeah, I played this on my iPad. Or
That's
he
a,
played on his DS. I played on my grandma's iPad.
Mhm.
That's how I started playing it.
you play. It's on DS.
Yeah, and it's pretty different. But I remember when
Huh.
I was little, I was like, I got all the way to the ending of the game.
Huh.
I was so excited.
I don't know if I ever actually beat the game, but I had tons of fun with the game as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
Very nostalgic game.
It's always like what I love about it is that a lot of games will introduce like the main mechanics of the game right off the bat at the beginning of the game.
Mhm.
What I really like about it is that every level you get a new plant, so
Yeah.
you get a new thing to play around with every level.
Sometimes.
Right.
Well, yeah,
If you just want to, if you just don't want to play, if you want to play the game differently, I guess.
yeah, but it's really clever, and
Mhm.
I used the word perfect when I described this game, which is really because for what it's trying to do, it doesn't make any mistakes.
Yeah.
At least for the first game.
Yes.
At least for the first game. And then EA happened, and that's all other thing. But I say high A tier.
High A tier.
Probably right below Cuphead, but high A tier for sure.
Okay. Do we agree with that,
Yes.
Hunter? Okay.
Yes,
I'm fine with that. Very nostalgic game. Has a very
yeah.
special place in my heart.
of course.
So right below Cuphead, right above Red Dead, and
And the music's amazing, obviously.
Yes, of course.
And now GTA 5 has been kicked down to B tier.
Yes.
No, very high.
Yes, very
This
high.
one, God of War. This is
Oh, I think Hunter.
this is specifically the 2018 game. I'm not doing the whole franchise.
Yeah.
Though if I did rank the whole franchise, it would be an S tier for me.
Ooh.
The older games are very hard. I'm never playing them again
Oh,
ever.
yeah.
They're like those old games where it's like they couldn't make big games back then, so
Oh,
they're like,
yeah.
let's just make them super hard. And it's like they're good. The story is still amazing back then, but
Mhm.
2018, not only are their graphics like modern now,
Yeah.
but the
Mhm.
story is just elevated. Kratos, this horrible person who like destroyed. It's centered around like gods.
Yeah, I
basically.
knew there's
And,
mythology.
yeah, like the
God of War.
like the old trilogy was Greek mythology, and then when they rebooted it in God of War 2018, which reboot kind of because it's still a continuation.
Yeah.
It changes to Norse mythology, which
Oh,
I like
okay.
Norse mythology better. It's much more interesting, I think. And so this horrible person, Kratos, who basically wiped out all the gods and destroyed humanity, pretty much, for revenge, avenging his family and stuff like that. Whole big ordeal. Has a son now. It's far in the future, and it's just such a good story. It's super emotional and deep, and it's basically God of War 2018 and the newest one, God of War Ragnarok. Follow.
Yeah, that's the one I've heard of.
Which is also a great game. It's basically following Kratos' journey of becoming a better person and becoming a father to his son, and especially 2018 focuses on the relationship of Kratos and his son, which develops as the game goes on, for better and worse, and it's very just impactful, very, like I said, emotional. The bosses in the game, great. It's a very cinematic game, especially compared to the previous three.
I've seen a few of the cutscenes, and it's really, really good looking.
It is very good looking, and it's very epic, high stakes.
Very epic.
Yes. Very great story. I just can't stop saying that. It's
Yeah,
such a good story.
Yeah.
And genuinely, one of the greatest games I think I've ever played. And I always go back and I watch the E3 announcement of this, because nobody knew or expected God of War to get a reboot. Because after the original trilogy, they had, I think, 2 or 3 more games, and people, it got horrible reception. They kind of killed the franchise for a while. And then with the reboot, it was just such a good announcement trailer. It's just like, you see his son initially, and it's just like he walks into the cabin, and you hear his dad's voice, boy. And it's just like, and you still don't know who it is until he says something, yada yada, and then he walks out of the shadows, and it's Kratos, and the whole crowd just like, yeah! I always go back and watch that. And there's a whole documentary about the making of this game, which is probably the greatest documentary I've ever watched. It is so good, and Cory Barlog is who created the game. Yeah. Such a genius. I love him. He's such a great director / game.
I hope this game gets like a movie or something.
I actually heard.
Especially with the voice actor that does his. I want that voice actor to be it. People are saying he can't be the voice actor because he's not white or whatever. It's like you can just his skin is ash. You can literally just put white onto his skin.
Which Kratos is actually technically the voice actor's skin color.
Yeah.
Before he, I don't know if you know, but this is probably the darkest part about the game. The reason Kratos is white is because he's cursed to wear his family's ashes.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
So that's why he's white. So you could like that.
Because he was basically tricked into killing his own family.
Yeah, the whole controversy.
And he got punished for that?
Yeah. He got punished for being tricked into killing his own family, which is what spurs him to just destroy humanity and kill all the gods.
That's like the controversy I don't care. Like, I get so annoyed about it.
The person that tricked him was Ares.
Ares, yeah.
He should have gone and had to wear ashes of the
It's a very disturbing, dark story, but
that's what I like.
It's very great.
Where do you put on the list?
I would put it.
I think I put it at high A.
Well, you said the whole series would be S tier, which is kind of interesting because whenever you say, whenever you do an individual game, it's usually because all the other ones are bad and there's one good one.
Right, but this one is like all the games are good in my opinion.
Yeah.
Except I haven't played the other ones that are like prequels to the original trilogy. I didn't play those ones.
Yada.
Because I heard they weren't that great. But as its own individual game, it'd be much higher if it was all of them, obviously. But this one, I'm thinking low A tier, maybe above Elden Ring and Dark Souls.
Okay.
Subnautica. Because I have a decent amount to say about this game, but I'll let Hunter go first.
Subnautica. The reason why I love this game so much is because one of my dream job. It still kind of is my dream job, but like it's kind of like not as like big as I used to want it to be because like stuff happened.
Yeah.
Marine biology is like one of the hugest things. Like I love the ocean, like everything in the ocean. Like, I mean, both games, Subnautica and Subnautica Below Zero, are some of the like they're not like horrifying games, but they're horror games still in the fact because like there's stuff that's there to jump scare you and it's they're still scary games. which for most people will be like, oh no, I don't want to go in the ocean. I want to go in the ocean because
Yeah,
of that.
right.
That's like, because what if somehow, I mean, there's not really possible that does exist. But what if that stuff does exist? I want to see it
Right.
in person. Also, at the same time, I don't want to see it in person because I would probably die.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I love the games. They're some of my favorite games. Like the story is pretty good. I haven't been able to beat Subnautica 1, which I really want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been able to beat Below Zero, and I love the story so much. So good. But yeah, and then also one thing I also have to say about kind of real life and being connected to this game, there is a planet that they found that is
In real
a
life?
water planet.
In actual real life?
Yes,
Oh,
it's a
God.
complete just
Ooh.
water planet,
Which I think.
which I think is really funny because of Subnautica.
Which isn't it like
It's like
in space? It's like water equals life or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
So it's
yeah.
like-
so like
I don't want to talk about that.
I
Yeah.
love it. So it's like one of my favorite things.
No,
ever.
trust me. If anyone doesn't want to talk about it, I don't because
Yeah.
let's bounce off the point you made. You love the ocean, Hunter.
Yes, I love the ocean.
I hate the ocean.
Yeah.
I used
My
to be terrified because I almost drowned when I was younger.
really?
Okay, go on.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. My biggest fear, thalassophobia. I hate.
That's your biggest fear, yeah.
Yeah, I hate depths, like water, just like the ocean in general. I love going to the ocean and going to the beaches and swimming and stuff. That's
Mhm.
fine, but just the idea of looking down into the depths and not
Seeing
seeing
something
darkness. No, it's actually the absence of seeing stuff that is scary about it. You're just like wondering what's down there. And with Subnautica, there's a lot of moments like that where you're just hearing like, "Ooh," I'm like,
He sees a Reaper Leviathan in real life. He's like, phew, at least there's something down there.
Yeah.
It's just Subnautica is genuinely, and this might be a hot take. Subnautica is genuinely the scariest game I've ever played.
It's
Really?
so
Yes,
terrifying.
It's a very specific fear, but it's
Mhm.
definitely a horror. I
Yeah.
consider it a horror game.
It
Yeah,
is.
and it's a lot like The Forest, where it's horror survival,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and it's obviously another survival game that I have not beat.
My wallet isn't big enough for this this episode because I
Yeah.
keep thinking like I want to get this game. I want to get this
Yeah.
game. Like,
Yeah.
Well, Hollow Knight's top on your
I know.
list.
One-
Hollow
You
Knight's
gotta-
gotta be top. Yeah.
I want to play it with you though.
Yeah.
I want to watch you play
We'll
it.
do
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
All
All right. So Subnautica.
Subnautica.
Oh, my experience with it, I have seen like a few clips. I saw the clip of like someone modded a giant, like, huge, terrifying monster to the game, and I was like, oh my
Gargantuan
gosh.
Leviathan. Gargantuan Leviathan. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
That was really cool to me.
I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say like I understand the concept of the game, and I've seen quite a few because I have a general
Mhm.
understanding of it,
Mhm.
and it's one of the coolest concepts to me
And
ever.
I know I talked a lot about my fear, but I do love this game. It's
Mhm.
genuinely such a great game, and I'm obviously very terrified of the game, but there's aspects like I love exploring and like thinking about like there's other creatures just out there somewhere
Yeah.
that you can go find. That's really cool to me,
Mhm.
and I genuinely do really love this game. I
do you
do want to beat it at some point. I'm thinking we should find a spot either above or below the forest for it because I think it's most comparable to the forest.
I
Okay, sure.
personally, for
I'd say
my
above.
personal thing, because I love this game so much. I know you guys don't like it as much as I do,
Okay.
but
Mhm.
I say S tier because I just love the
Oh,
game
okay,
so
yeah.
much. Because like
S for
it's
Subnautica.
so much of the stuff that I love, and
Good job, Luke.
not as much as I like Bendy, but still some of the stuff that I love so much. But I
Yes.
would say S tier. I know you guys don't have the same opinion as me because like obviously this is like one of my other favorite games.
Mhm.
But yeah, S tier for me, high A tier.
I'd say above the forest
Above the forest.
because it's very similar, but I think it executes it better.
Okay.
It's a more interesting concept.
Okay. So I think I'm gonna put it right below Red Dead, above the
Oh my
forest.
gosh.
Everything's just
Yeah.
right in that sandwich.
Yes, it's a very popular place.
Which now that it's mid A tier, Elden Ring is bumped down to B tier, high B
Dang,
tier.
bro.
Each time.
Next one I'm gonna do is Halo. These are these last three are all Hunter games, by the way.
Yeah.
Well, the last one I have stuff to say about too.
Okay.
Well, they're basically.
Yeah, so
I
they were hard
really
choices.
I'm gonna take a step back on both of these because I don't have much to say about
That's
either
okay.
of them. So
I don't have anything about Halo, so
okay, go ahead, Hunter.
So Halo, I put this on here because this is like one of my like childhood games that I grew up on playing.
Wow.
Yes.
That explains a lot.
Yes.
Isn't it the shooty gun violence game?
Well, it's not really. I mean, yeah, it's violence.
It's
actually,
unrealistic violence,
Yeah.
though.
Okay,
it's
sure.
not
It's not like Call of Duty.
Like Plants vs Zombies. Got it. Okay, go on.
just like Plants vs.
Yeah, it's
Zombies.
so much like Plants vs Zombies. Yeah,
Yeah.
with the floods.
I don't know what you're
the
referring to.
floods.
More water?
No, not.
Is
water.
Halo ever scary?
Oh yes, it is.
Really?
The floods.
Uh-oh.
Look
What are the floods?
They're these little things that kind of just take control of things that exist that are alive, and they just kind of kill them.
Like a parasite.
Basically, yeah. I'll look it up for you.
Okay.
They're really terrifying, and like one of my favorite enemies in the game. I remember when I first played the games and they were introduced, I was mortally terrified because of how scary they are.
Yeah.
Um,
But while you're doing that, what is the general? Because I don't know anything about this game. What is the general like? Ugh.
Oh.
Food. Oh.
Okay. Got it.
What is the general like? What is Halo?
Halo
Yeah.
is kind of a. It's really funny to think about. So it's basically the Covenant, which are aliens, versus the Spartans, which are humans.
Mhm.
Hey-
Is it a story game?
Yeah.
It has a big story.
It's
Is it
a
a
pretty
PvP
huge
one?
story.
Because is it
It
like?
has. It's like
it-
Call of Duty where it has online and
Oh, okay,
campaign.
Yeah, most of it. Well, most of it's like the whole game is a story game if you play the campaign, because
Yeah.
obviously that's what a campaign is. It's just story.
Yes.
But yeah,
So Halo is very frustrating for me to talk about because I've wanted to play this game for so long, but I never really grew up as an Xbox kid, which it's exclusive to Xbox.
I didn't know that.
So it's a game that I never really got the chance to play, but I always wanted to.
Is it exclusive to Xbox?
yes, I just
We just said that.
Oh, it's exclusive. Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you were saying it was like first on Xbox. I didn't know if it was
Oh.
on PC or
No,
anything like that.
it's-
No. Well, it is.
it is on PC, but it's like
because it was originally just like Xbox, and then Microsoft like took over.
mhm.
Oh, okay.
So now it's on PC as well.
yeah.
And I actually own it. I own like the whole like Master Chief Saga on
Master Chief
Steam.
Collection.
I've just never played it.
Oh, okay, great.
Master
Yeah.
Chief Collection. You have to play.
Sounds good.
That's what you're doing tonight.
I don't need to. I got it all in my brain. I can
I
just
want to
spell it out for
say
you, but I won't.
between Zombie and Red Dead.
Right
Is-
between Plants vs Zombies and Red Dead.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad that I'm putting it above Subnautica,
Okay.
but I can't really think of anywhere else because I don't want to put it by the forest because it's not even close to like the
Okay.
forest.
All right.
So,
Okay, got it.
Right above Red Dead and right below Plants vs Zombies is
Yeah.
where Halo sits, and that knocks God of War 2018 down to highest on B tier.
Okay.
Final.
Okay, now for the
Last
last
game.
one. We made it.
We finally chugged through it.
This is the most popular franchise of all time, by the way.
Pokemon.
I think
Yes.
it is actually the most. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
the
it
most
is.
popular
It is,
It's the most
yeah.
popular franchise, but maybe not the most popular game franchise though.
Yeah.
Well, I guess franchise, most popular something, but it's definitely.
I don't really have like much experience at all with
I
this.
I've tried, and Hunter definitely has gotten me into it because it is very far gone and has a lot of stuff that's built up like. Obviously, all the Pokemon. There's like all this 900 something
There's
million
1,000
of them.
at this point now.
I think it was 1,008 was the number.
There's 1,000 now. I'll look up the numbers. I keep
But,
looking up stuff this episode.
The Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which just came out, was my first game to play, and apparently that was like a big mistake.
that was kind of bad on my part. It probably should have made you play. Probably should have made you play a different. Should have got you to play a different game, but you don't have a 3DS, which is
I
where
know,
all the
I
good
know.
ones
Yeah.
are.
Yeah, I know.
There's currently 1,017.
Oh, okay. I was actually pretty close.
Or
I thought 1,008.
1,015. There's
Okay.
66 legendaries, or 66 of them were legendaries.
Okay.
Yes, it's a very dense like fan base, and I think that
A very giant franchise to
yes.
travel as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. By the time Scarlet came out, it was so far gone. I couldn't get into it because there was a lot of that stuff I just didn't understand.
Yeah.
It didn't really it just kind of jumped into Pokemon. I was like, no, you
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they do expect since it's one of the biggest franchises ever. I think they do expect with newer games like you guys know what's going on.
Yeah,
'cause-
Yeah, you know what you're doing.
To where if I jumped into a Pokemon game, I don't know what's going on because
Yeah.
I've never played one before.
I think the funniest part to me about Pokemon games is Professor Oak. His whole mission is to find every single Pokemon,
Mhm.
which I find also really funny because technically it's stated in the lore that every single one of these Pokemon existed the entire time. I don't think you understand. I put myself through for so long, and then I'm so sad that I forgot this. You know how you do with the Canada whatever United States
Canada,
that
Mexico,
whole
yeah.
thing you did?
Yeah.
I remembered every single Pokemon evolution
Yeah.
and everything for the longest time from the games that I knew and everything. I remembered everything about them, and then out of nowhere I just forgot, and I'm so mad about it because I tortured myself for hours. Like,
Yeah.
this is the evolution. This is all this other stuff, and I just forgot about it all. I know you guys don't have this. I love. The thing is, I love up all my games, or a lot of my
Yeah,
games.
yeah.
So I want to put them in S tier, but I
Think
know you
about
guys,
the highs and the lows.
the highs and the lows. There isn't very much lows, to be honest.
Really?
With you. The only lows are like maybe the last two recent games, I would say. Scarlet and Violet
Yeah.
and Sword and Shield. I mean, they aren't terrible games. They're just not as good.
I don't know why I made that noise.
But yeah, I if I'm going with highs and lows, I want to go. I really, really want to do S tier, but I know you guys have no experience with the game, so I am so high, S tier, or maybe mid.
Mid A tier.
Mid A tier.
I understand. I have a pretty good foundation of understanding of Pokemon,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and I think that I wouldn't say S tier for me because I'm not gonna let Pokemon Scarlet because I've only also gotten an hour and a half into that game.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because I stopped the moment I stopped, kind of a bit of a side tangent or whatever. The moment I stopped was when they got up on this lighthouse, and there was supposed to be this grand view of the world, and it was all low poly, garbage, which is all green, and I was like.
It took him an hour to get to the beginning of the game.
Okay, what?
That's basically the beginning.
That was a
of the
rough
game.
approximation, but still.
Yeah.
Which is such a.
Yeah. All right, so
there's such a low
we got a A tier,
Yeah,
S
so-
tier.
A tier,
Okay.
A tier.
I'm thinking. Where on A tier are you thinking?
mid A tier.
Mid
But that
A tier.
doesn't help.
Well, I can kind of get an idea of where that is.
Above Minecraft.
Definitely above Minecraft.
Above Minecraft.
No, I don't think it can go above Minecraft.
That is a battle of the most popular games, but
Oh yeah.
I personally would say above Minecraft, but I don't know about Luke.
Nah.
Well, if it was above Minecraft, it would go above Cuphead, which I do not
Nope.
agree with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Personally,
Again,
it's kind of a weird
I don't remember
situation.
putting. I listened to the
I
first
think
episode.
I think
and
we'll
don't
put
remember
it
putting
below. I
Minecraft
think we'll
there.
put it below Cuphead.
Okay.
Okay, below Cuphead, above Plants vs.
Solely
Zombies.
because of popularity. I
Yeah.
think.
And
I don't think it's because popular, because I just like the game a lot.
and it just killed off my favorite not my favorite, but one of the best A tier participants is Mario Kart. It's on B tier now.
Oh no.
Poor Mario Kart
Poor
at the
That's
very
kind of
end.
sad. That's kind of sad.
Okay,
Dang.
so to do a little final recap.
Wait, do we have any S tiers episode?
Or yeah, we did, which I'm about to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. Go on.
This S tier is actually so perfect, and I'll explain. I'll
Honestly,
explain to you
yes.
why. Each one of these games is not only one of ours, but one that makes us happy. FNAF is the highest in
Because
S
we all
tier,
like it, because we
which
all like it.
which makes us we all like FNAF.
Mhm.
And Toby Fox, obviously you.
That's my
Bendy,
beef.
obviously you.
Yeah.
And Hollow Knight, me. So that's a
Exactly,
perfect.
that's
S
like
tier.
perfect.
Great.
S tier.
And
Yeah.
we didn't even play that.
Yeah,
right?
we all
Yeah.
have one game that we all concisely like, one
Mhm.
game that you like, one game that you like, and one game that I love.
Yes. So I'm going. So not even just for time, but just because I want to see if I can do this well. I'm going to do a rapid fire recap of our tier list.
All right, here we go.
I'm
Here we
going to go straight through it. Okay.
All right. got your time
I'm
ready.
not even gonna name off the tiers. I'm just gonna do it
Okay.
in the order. Okay. Are you guys ready?
Yeah, ready.
Mhm.
Okay. Starting off, Five Nights at Freddy's, Toby Fox, Bendy and the Ink Machine, Hollow Knight, Kirby, Minecraft, Cuphead, Pokemon, Plants vs. Zombies, Halo, Red Dead Redemption 2, Subnautica, The Forest, Dying Light, Last of Us Part 1 Remake, Mario Kart, God of War, Elden Ring, Dark Souls, GTA 5, Black Ops 3 Zombies, Rainbow Six Siege, Detroit Become Human, and Zelda at the very low
All right.
Yeah.
tier.
That's a good list, I think.
Yes.
Good.
I think
Nice.
it worked out as well as it could have, I think,
Mhm.
with
Yeah.
our diverging opinions and experiences.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, we finally did it.
I enjoyed it,
Let's
yeah.
go.
That was pretty fun.
Yes.
That's like the first actual tier list I think I've ever done before.
Really?
Mm.
Yeah, I've never actually really done a tier list.
I've
It's-
done
yes.
some by myself. Like I was looking at it for like Pokemon or something,
No.
like
Yeah.
Pokemon evolutions and stuff like that. But I never really finished it because like
Yes.
Yeah.
So
So what I'll say is this was definitely a pilot. Both these were kind of pilots, so
Yeah.
they're gonna be a bit longer. We're definitely gonna keep it under an hour to an hour from now on.
Right.
Yeah.
We're gonna have strategies to do it. This was just kind of an open-ended.
And obviously, this is a little bit more of a systematic, more boring per se.
Yeah. He
topic.
made air quotes. You couldn't see him, but he when he said
Yeah.
boring, he made air quotes.
Yeah. So we will have much more interesting topics as it
Much
goes
more.
along. This was just a good starter
We get to know
for our
you.
podcast.
We're gonna
Yeah.
have some more silly, goofy stuff.
I
planned.
hope we established who we are as people with this
Yeah.
topic.
Oh.
And I'm very excited. We've all got so many ideas for this podcast in the future.
yeah.
I think it's really gonna go places, and it's gonna be tons of fun.
Tons of fun.
A lot of fun.
Bushels.
listening.
Yeah. So
Hope we
thank
get
you.
it right.
Thank you to everyone that listened. I
Yeah.
hope it was as enjoyable for you guys as it was for us. And we'll see you in the next one. Peace out, media junkies.